yo, what's popping everyone who's currently watching this YouTube video? I hope you're all having a great day. Mongolia. Not many people may know about this country, but I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of Mongolia with its unique characteristics such as nomadic culture and our most famous ancestor Genghis Khan who conquered half of the world. Our country is still a developing country, so there aren't that many food brands or restaurants, but there are some famous brands here in Mongolia such as KFC, Pizza Hut, Burger King. Also, there are many restaurants that serve a lot of other cultural foods. They are like hidden gem here in this Mongolia. So I hope you guys can visit them when you arrive here in Mongolia. So in this video, we will introduce some of those restaurants and talk about food brands here in Mongolia. I hope you will enjoy.
Currently, there is no world-famous food brand in Mongolia. There are several popular food brands in Mongolia. For example, the Tuk brand, Noodle brand, and Laksha brand. Everyone knows and uses them. Tuk brand art and curd made from animal milk and rich in delicious and nutritious vitamins. So it's really healthy drink nowadays. They are popular within school kids as they taste and more tastier and everyday parents buy it for them to support their kids' health. They come in many different types. Drink apples and mix apples with water. Try it once and you might get addicted to this brand's products. Since Mongolia is very cold, during winter soup and meat becomes the main food we eat to stay warm.
Cool, that was full of details. As for restaurants, there are many places in Mongolia that are very popular, luxurious, and beautiful. For example, one of my favorite restaurants is Cielo Food and Bar. Head chef dedication to the Italian cuisine combining with classic American and Mexican bar food. The rooftop is located above Cielo Food and Bar consists of outdoor grill and famous skewers, killer decks with curated long drink menus and refined eats. If you ever come to Mongolia, be sure to visit them to taste how foreign foods are localized here in Mongolia. With 360 views and roofless open air design with endless blue sky, above gives you the nomadic feel of Mongolian experience. The price ranges under 20,000 to 80,000 Togorok, and their service, food taste, and environment are very nice.
That was really great to know. Like as for other foreign restaurants, for example, KFC opened its first restaurant in 2013 in Mongolia, and all the restaurants are in the capital. Maybe the reason why Mongolians love KFC is because of its Western taste. Mongolia doesn't have many popular Western restaurants because it is hard to make wise investment in our country. Mongolia is also politically unstable, so opening many famous international restaurants is hard because of our economic. But lately, many Western restaurants are opening in our country, and I think that it's a very great improvement. And I think Mongolia showed great interest in KFC is maybe because of the simple reason, which is it came from a Western country. So Mongolia usually visit KFC on holidays. Maybe because it is proper for the holiday atmosphere, or maybe because it has an expensive price. But KFC is listed in one of the most profitable food brands in Mongolia.
Yeah, that's interesting. We got acquainted with Mongolian food brands and world famous restaurants in Mongolia. Also, we learned that Mongolia frequently goes to this place, especially during special occasions where they celebrate something together, whether with family or even with friends. They started out a few years ago, but they have already become something we Mongols frequently go to. All of them are very popular among Mongolians. The Mongolian brands we introduced are really tasty, healthy, and loved by consumers. It always tastes great. In the world famous restaurant, Mongolians always give us a different food culture and wonderful taste. It can be used in any occasions and since it comes with lots of different flavors, you can never be bored of its taste. Also, they improve their product a lot, which attract a lot of consumers. Someday, they may become world famous brand, which we can all be proud of. We have written about this before. We got acquainted with Mongolian food brands and Mongolian famous restaurants in Mongolia. We selected the world's most famous food chains in Mongolia and introduced them all, how they operate in Mongolia and how they reach consumers. Already all of them are very popular among Mongolians and the world's famous restaurant Mongolians always give us a different food, culture, and wonderful taste. Next, we introduced the world famous food brand in Mongolia. There are several popular food brands in Mongolia. For example, the Zuk brand, Noodle brand, and Lasha brand. The Mongolian brands we introduced are really tasty, healthy, and loved by consumers. It always tastes great. Do you also think so?
I do think so too, but before I forget, I want to speak of something really different about Mongolia, which might be a little bit more interesting to the people who want to know more about Mongolia. How about we talk about school, environment of the universities? This time, Mongolia has changed a lot ever since the 90s. Nowadays, Mongolia's university environment is really developed if you compare it to the 90s, of course. As Mongolia continues to develop, a lot of facilities and a lot of other things are coming into place.
Speaking of which, the university environment is something that is very important for teachers and students. It affects them physically and mentally. So, firstly, it should be safe both physically and mentally. Every little thing can affect the student's learning process, so there are many amenities that are offered to the students. For example, there are classrooms, libraries, cafeterias, and also green areas for resting. These factors are simple but very important and shall not be excluded. University in Mongolia also offer relationships, sustainability, and also social opportunities. These are the factors that are important but very hard to implement. University and schools try to improve their environment every chance they have. I think that it is a very good approach and solution. For example, they are increasing their facilities and planning many projects that will help the students in their future.
That reminds me, I want to talk about classroom practices at Mongolian universities. In particular, I find many interesting aspects like the location and size of the classroom, current events, strategies or approach to developing specific skills, activities to achieve learning objectives, and ways to increase the clarity of the content in Mongolian classroom practices. For example, teachers have a very close relationship with students, and school tries to create an environment that can provide students. Of course, there are many shortcomings compared to other developed countries. All schools, as well as teachers, are different in a way they create a learning environment for their students, but based on my own evidence, this is the case.
Speaking of learning environment, for me the school library is the best place to study. Here I like to study, read books, and spend my free time. The environment affects our psychology and health, but earth and course. The library is clean and quiet situation, a team room and comfortable learning environment. There are students around you, so you can make new friends here. Perhaps you can meet a student the same profession and develop future together.
We have learned a lot about the environment of universities, and there are many things needed to be considered to improve the environment. But rather than a drastic change, slowly fixing the problem might be really effective, don't you think?
As you know, Mongolia has a long history. As a result, many years later, those great stories are now a revelation. Among these discoveries, Mongolia is known for its many archaeological finds. For example, dinosaur bones are very common in Mongolia. Paleontologists in Mongolia have found the fossilized skeletal remains from a new genus and species of two-fingered Oviraptorosaur that walked the Earth during the Cretaceous period. This is a great discovery that will appeal to everyone, and we will talk about a similar discovery in Mongolia. What kind of discovery do you think it will be about?
Yeah, I had a chance to encounter something really interesting while doing a research on internet about Mongolian discoveries and found a lot of things about cities of Mongolian Empire. Yeah, Karakorum was the capital city for the great Mongol leader Genghis Khan, and according to at least one scholar, the single most important stopping point on the Silk Road in the 12th and 13th century CE. Archaeological evidence shows that the first settlement of the Arhan River floodplain in Mongolia was a city of trellis-colored girls or yards by pioneers established in the 8th to 9th century CE by the Oghur descendants of the Bronze Age steppe societies. The tent city was located on a grassy plain at the base of the Hante Mountains on the Arhan River, about 350 kilometers west of Ulaanbaatar. And in 1220, in the Mongol Emperor Genghis Khan established a permanent capital there, which became a most famous city in the history of Mongolia.
Well, after the Genghis Khan's death in 1227, his son and successor Ugete chose the same location to serve as the capital of the empire. In Hatharum, as it came to be known, Ugete and Subscannon Hans constructed a lavish palace and played host to diplomats, traders, Chinese artisans, Muslim merchants, and other travelers along the Silk Road. Lead author and archaeologist Benam and his team combined data with aerial photographs, historical records, and previous surveys, generating a detailed view of Hatharum's density and structure. He also noted that the new map allows researchers to identify where large brick buildings once stood and where roads once cut through the terrain. This is a way how historical place is passed down by many people and also shows the way how it was improved over the time. Isn't it interesting to know about these amazing but historical achievements?
In the city of Karakorum, the steps of the palace, the base of the pillars, the lighted statue, and the base of the turtle were made of stone. Karakorum was surrounded on all sides by a 4-kilometer long mud wall with 4 gates on each side. Historical sources state that grain was sold on the left door, sheep and goats on the right door, cattle and ox carts on the south door, and horses and carts on back door. Because the Mongol emperors did not discriminate against any religion. There were 12 Buddhist, Christian, and Muslim temples in Karakorum. Karakorum was a crowded city. It was inhabited by Russian, Georgians, Calips, Chinese, Italians, and French. At that time, Karakorum was a major political, economic, and cultural center. Karakorum has existed for 140 years and was the capital of the Mongol Empire for 32 years. Karakorum was truly an empire. What else have you learned about Karakorum, capital of the Mongol Empire?
Actually, I have learned a lot about this capital from my history teacher who taught me history when I was in high school. Since then, I was quite interested in heroic stories of Mongolian Empire, so I still remember a lot of stuff even to this day. In the past, Karakorum became capital twice. First time was during Ogote, and second was during Kublai Khan. And also, there were many treasures during that time. The Karakoram was used as a capital, and many treasures were stored there. But after getting raided by Chinese Empire, all those treasures were gone. And lastly, the Karakoram became became a monastery after getting rebuilt, and nowadays this place is also used as a great museum to explore the remains of capital, which was one of the famous capital of the Mongolian Empire. It is a place where visitors can see how nomads who conquered half the world lived. Doesn't that sound interesting? I really am happy the fact that Mongolians were able to discover these important remains of the great Mongolian Empire. Although I have only visited once when I was a child, I'd love to visit and explore once again. What about you? What did you think about Mongolia?